Like, how did you feel during that time? Did you feel any sense of regret? What was the feelings?
Even if it goes wrong, like I said, what's the worst case scenario?
You said something very interesting I want to pull back on. You said,
Especially if you're trying to build things, you sacrifice on certain things.
it's always good to set big goals. However,
A lot of people just forgot about it.
this reminds me of a saying that my coach would usually say. He'll say, and what would you say was your biggest insight from, this small snippet coaching session we just had? This is the NextGen TechCEO Journey podcast, where you will get an insider seat as I help purpose-driven tech founders overcome obstacles and maximize their leadership. The conversations get raw and real, using focused coaching to draw out their strategies and catalyze their success. If you want to amplify your impact as a tech founder, this is training at its most direct. First, take our free CEO type quiz at www.levelupwithdeano.com and unlock your entrepreneurial superpower. Then join me as we transform startup leaders in real time. Your journey to becoming a tech titan starts now. Welcome to the NextGen TechCEO Journey podcast. Now, are you ready to dive into the world of tech entrepreneurship, digital transformation, and the power of innovation? If so, you're in for a treat on today's episode. Our guest today, Moon Yiu, is not your typical tech founder. As the founder and CEO of DigitSense, Moon has taken an unconventional path from the realms of biochemistry to shaping the future of digital technology. Her journey is a fascinating blend of science, business acumen, and a deep passion for creating impactful digital experience. Moon's expertise spans across various assets of the tech world, from digital and software development to product design and digital marketing. But what truly sets her apart is her unwavering commitment for merging technology with empathy, putting use at the heart of innovation. Moon's dedication to helping startups and entrepreneurs is evidenced not only through her role as a CEO of DigitSense, but also as a community advisor at startup.com and a mentor at edplist.org. Join us as we explore Moon's transformative journey, gathering priceless insights from a tech entrepreneur who combines pixels with purpose, design with heart, and innovation with human impact. Welcome to the show, Moon.
Thank you for having me, Deano.
Awesome. Well, usually when we start this conversation, one of the things I'm always curious about is your entrepreneurial story, because there's this thing that says that the entrepreneurs were usually at one. So where did this journey of entrepreneurship started? Yeah, tell us about that.
So, funny enough, I think I've always had it at the back of my mind, but I didn't really pursue the journey until around 4 years ago. So it was a very fun, but also a very tough story of mine. I think we all have these sort of stories, but I would say it's a rather good one. So I have been ever since I got out of uni. I was a biochem student back in uni. Never pursued that career path. I mean, it would be horrible if I work in the lab. Like everybody would die, really. I'm one of the worst students that you can imagine.
Oh
That's just
my.
not me. Yeah. So I went into tech. I was actually working in the VR AR industry way before metaverse was even a thing.
Oh
So back then I
wow.
used to work with, yeah, I used to work with a lot of like marketing agencies and branding agencies, with, new games, new branding innovations and all that, because AR and VR is a very interactive process to engage with customers,
Mm,
obviously. So that was my background. I was a science person, so I obviously do things in an analytical way. And then obviously, like,
mm.
anyways, come back to the career, it all went down. I didn't get paid for 6 months. I was so broke. I did not, have money for my living. I was borrowing money off of my ex-boyfriend at the time, which was awful. And shortly
Mm.
after, right, I got a new job, but then I still hadn't got paid yet. I got a new job a few months in. They fired my entire team. I was the last survivor. Then they fired me. So,
What?
anyways, I got fired twice within 4 months, and that was just after I managed to pay back my ex-boyfriend. And so yeah, I mean, at that point it was a very easy choice for me. It was like I
Mm,
either work for other people, I still couldn't buy my own lunch, or I work for myself and I still couldn't buy my own lunch. Like there's no opportunity cost. It's a very easy choice. It was
mm,
basically, you know, either way you're broke. So why not? Why won't you go for the entrepreneurship journey, right? It's more worth it
mm,
after all because it's your own thing. So
mm.
yeah, that's how I started
It,
it.
it's interesting that you said that there wasn't any easy choice. However, I think most average people being in your situation, I don't know how they would have survived, what you survive, especially getting rejected so many times. So my what I'm curious about here was what is the mindset? So for example, if you were talking to somebody you were mentoring, what would you say was the mindset that you had that kept you going even after so many rejections?
Uh, I would keep it simple. What's the worst scenario that's going to happen? I mean, if you've
Mm,
already lost everything, or if you don't have, like, you can't go much worse, then why wouldn't you go for the leap? Why wouldn't you take the leap? It's very easy. Um, Especially if you fear something. Like I always say, you don't run away from your fears because when you run away, it's always going to haunt you. It's not even an entrepreneur thing. It's a life lesson. It's more like when you go through that in life, you reckon that it's always going to come back to you. You can't run away from it. So I would say just, you know, take the leap and have a leap of faith in yourself.
Don't run away from your fears. You made me remembered when I was a kid. I was a very, how should I say? My cousin would say that I was very coward because I was very afraid of the dark. Yeah. And when you said don't run away from your fear, in my head I'm like, you crazy, the dark scared the hell out of me. And I remember this one day I had goats as a young kid growing up, and I forgot to bring the goats home, and my mom got home very late and she's asking, where's the goat? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So the goats were in a very dark place. And
Mm.
as I was approaching and getting closer to them, their eyes start lighting up. And I think being in such a situation where I actually face my fear, I literally overcome it. Yeah, that makes sense only after going through the experience. So my question to you would be, where did you get that from? Yeah, where did that mindset came from? What inspired that into you?
I would say maybe because I was trained as an athlete when I was younger. Um, I,
Interesting. Tell me more.
I mean, I'm not the, yeah, well, I actually, you know, I have Asian parents, as you can tell from my face. Um, Asian parents tend to force you to do things that, you know, you never chose or you don't like. But at the end of the day,
Mm,
you still have to finish it. So I guess like
mm.
that actually taught me quite a bit, first of all. And second thing
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
I think obviously I wasn't the most hardworking athlete, or, you know, just a kid. As a kid, I wasn't very hardworking as a kid. Um, I would say it really hits me really hard, especially when I, you know, turned into an adult. I came into the adult life. I tried to do the best in my career. Just never worked. It was like it was
Mm,
never my fault, right? It was I got fired. Didn't It's not because I didn't do a good job. I got fired because it was COVID. Because things happened. You know, the
mm,
company went down. I got fired on the same day as my boss. So like I said,
mm.
it's not like, you know, you do your best and then things are just going to happen. You have to take, you know, certain risks. You'll have to catch opportunities when they're here. You need to get prepared for it. So I think like the mindset of the athlete mindset somehow came back in after so many years of not practicing it. But at the end of the day, I think you reckon that if you keep going, things are just going to happen automatically or naturally. Like even if it goes wrong, like I said, what's the worst case scenario?
Mm, mm. Wow, I'll say that's a resilient mindset, and I love the fact that you actually bring your how to say your past as an athlete and how that helped you navigate. I think one of the things I've always credit my success to is that I was an athlete from a very young age, practicing martial arts, and a lot of
Mm.
those fundamentals came into how I approach life as an entrepreneur, even just as a human. Yeah, that level of don't quit in our resilience and being able to bounce back. Yeah. So I'm really happy that you share that one. And during that moment, right, when you were, so for example, COVID happened, and you
Mhm.
feel like you didn't have any choice, you're getting fired back to back. Like, how did you feel during that time? Did you feel any sense of regret? What was the feelings? What was the emotions like at that point? I'm curious.
Um, it was for sure very sad to begin with. I never got fired in my life before, and then when it hits, I got fired twice within 2 months, through 4 months actually. And to me, it was like, I started blaming myself to begin with, obviously. It's just the same. I think it's just like being humane, honestly. Like everybody would question
Mm,
themselves to begin with, to be like, why am I so unlucky? What happened to me? Am I, not doing a good job? But at the end of the day, when you figured certain things out and you know that there's the only way out, which is, you should rely on yourself and you're the only person who should take responsibility of your own life. And that's when you reckon, it's nobody's fault. And it wasn't even my employee's fault not to pay me. It was my fault
mm,
not having a second stream of income and being broke. It was totally on me. That's when I actually learned that the life lesson of, having control of your own life in your own hands.
mm. Yeah, I totally resonate with that. I totally resonate with that. And when I actually decided to become a full-time entrepreneur, it was through something similar actually. And it wasn't even me getting fired. I didn't even get the opportunity in the first place. However, my
Mhm.
fiance now today told me that I would have been, how to say, I would have been grateful for those people, and she was right. But back then I couldn't have seen that. I'm
Mhm.
curious, what what gave you that evidence or that belief that you would have been able to create the reality you want or make what you're doing now into what it is back then?
Mm, very good question. Honestly, I don't know. I I was so doubtful of everything. I did not know whether or not it's going to last more than 3 months, or basically every single day. Like when I wake up, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going broke again tomorrow. To
Mm,
the end of the day, you go back to bed and you figured something out. It's just small steps that you take, small steps that you're
mm,
figuring out. Once you go to bed, you review on what happened, anything that can be improved, anything that you can do. Just take small steps and you'll get
yeah, yeah. I think that should be the anthem for every entrepreneur who are listening. Yeah, it's always good to set big goals. However, I think what balance these big visions is taking those small steps. Yeah. Now,
there.
what I want to do
Absolutely.
with this segment, and I think this is one of the most fun part for me and the listeners as well, is where we work on a real problem that you're experiencing right now as a tech CEO. Yeah. So in the
Mhm.
next segment, what I'll be doing, I'll be asking you some very powerful questions, and these questions
Mhm.
are only designed to help you find your own emotional truth. So that means there's no wrong or right answer, and if there's a question you feel uncomfortable answering, you can let me know. Would that be okay?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, let's say that this, at the end of this conversation, it was one of the best conversation we have ever had, Moon.
Mhm.
What problem or challenge would we need to work through right now?
Mhm. You mean as an entrepreneur or uh, personally speaking?
What's coming up for you? It could be personal, it could be professional. Because one of the things I usually see sometimes they're personal challenge. If we can work through those, it cause it leverage whatever you're creating in the personal or vice versa. What's
Mhm.
coming up for you now?
Sure. I think for me, career-wise, obviously, I think I have more than one company that I'm, taking care of. And there are, quite a few other projects that are coming into hands and trying to, build other products as well and other companies. And so I think leveraging both sides and having the time and energy for all things, like it's very difficult. And especially when I'm being really aggressive with where I am now, where I am not raising funds for my own company, DigitSense, and uh, we were relying on project revenue, project funds, and all that. That would be a very tough challenge because there would definitely be, I mean, every one of us only have 24 hours a day. So I guess like the biggest challenge is to learn how to dedicate your time and how to turn yourself from a businessman to an entrepreneur to a serial entrepreneur. Those are very, very different things and very different lifestyles that everyone would live.
Mm. And let's say you had to share that problem in 5 words or less. What would you say the problem is specifically?
Mm, time,
Mm.
energy,
Tell me more. Mm-hmm.
resource, um, learning, and problem solving. Sorry, that's 6 words, but I'll count problem solving as one.
If we gotta take that and put that into a sentence, what would that be? So I
Mhm.
hear time, energy,
Yep. Mhm.
resource, problem solving. Is that correct?
Yep.
Hmm. Okay, let me ask
Okay.
it this
I
way. Now, what would you say is the relationship between these? What's the common denominator here?
mm, I can't really put a common denominator to it, but to respond to your earlier question, putting it into one sentence, I think I can do so.
Go
I
ahead.
would say the challenge of the challenge of making things work with limited resources would be
Mm.
figuring out the problem and solving the problem of having limited time and energy.
That sounds like more than 5 words still.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna challenge you here. Yeah. Tell you I'm coming for you. Let's say we had to state this problem in 5 words or less. One sentence,
Mhm.
5 words or less. What specifically is the problem?
Limited time, money, and resources.
Hmm. Time, money, resources. And what would you say? What would need to shift? Yeah, with time, money, and resources.
Mhm.
What is it you would need to shift right now when it comes to time, money, and resources?
Um, I think resources, we do have it. Um, and money can buy resources, obviously. I would say time is what is shifting, as in like how much
Mm,
time you're putting into your new projects, your new ventures, your product ventures instead of the old services company versus having the money, which are the funds and also the cash that you have on hand. Like which company are you putting it into? How are you investing your money?
mm,
And obviously that includes energy and resources as well.
mm. And I'm curious, is there a metaphor that you would use that you can use in this particular scenario that you're painting?
Mm. Can't really think of a metaphor on top of my head. Is there like
Mm.
an example that you can give me, maybe?
Thinking about time, money, and resources, and what I'm hearing is that you can use money to buy resources. So it sounds like the major variable here that needs your attention is time, yeah, and where you're placing that time.
Hmm.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, correct. I would say so.
Hmm. And is there anything in your life where you are really managing your time at the level that you would love to, that you're really doing well? Is there any place in your life or any example that you have where you're doing really good with time?
Mm, I would say multitasking, if that counts as one. Uh,
Hmm.
it's, it's just part of my daily life, honestly. So I basically need to turn 2 hours a day into 4 hours. So how can I do it? And how can I make things way more efficient? Because like I said, like a lot of people would have been able to do it, and everybody only has 24 hours. It's like
Mm.
it's all the same for everybody. It's not like I sleep
Yeah.
a lot of time. It's not like, I have a lot of entertainment. But at the end of the day, I think it's more like how do you manage to fit things into a shorter time frame
Mm.
to,
Yeah.
increase your efficiency by 100%.
Yeah. So how do you fit things into a shorter time frame and maximize efficiency?
Mhm.
Now I'm gonna ask you a confusing question, and
Sure.
there's no right or wrong answer, just see what comes up. Yeah.
Mhm.
Now, aside from time and being able to fit more into the time that you have, what would you say is everything else you haven't been paying attention to that is important to creating the time you need right now?
Balance and health, maybe. Um,
Mm.
I think that's something that most people or most entrepreneurs would miss. It's very normal, especially if you're trying to build things. It's you sacrifice on certain things, but
Mm.
then you know. I'll just give you a very quick example, right? If you ignore your health, at the end of the day, you're going to get burnt out, or
Mm.
you might ended up being, in and out of doctors' clinics and all that. Like that's just a
Mm.
normal thing. But you think you actually bought time for yourself, but you probably didn't. I
Mm.
mean, with all the time that you spend, taking medicine, going in and out of doctors' clinics, um, and then doing all these like rehabs and doing all these sort of psychological practices at the end of the day, which, well, most of them are essential, but if you didn't manage it well enough, like you wouldn't have to spend extra time on these things. So
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah,
striking of
yeah.
a balance.
Yeah, yeah. And how would you need to start being different now than how you've been knowing this?
Mm, I would say it's a rearrangement of time and priorities. I used to have my priorities wrong, obviously, and sometimes I still go wrong because when you get caught up with things, like it's
Yeah,
just what it
you're
is, right?
human, we're human.
Yeah,
Just
exactly, exactly. Um, so it's just like, I mean, if there's a new deal coming in and it pays me well enough, like why would I say no to it and go and have fun instead? Like it's just not normal. Um, but I think at the end of the day, figuring out like a routine, figuring out a good operation system for the company, for your team, making sure that every single deal that you take is generating enough revenue for you, generating enough margin for you. I think all these things actually add up together. So um, I'll give you a quick example with services companies, which actually happens very often that people miss out. The smaller your company, the smaller your team, the more selective you have to be with your clients. Because you can't operate at an economies of scale. It's just,
mm,
simple economics, honestly. Um, a lot of
mm,
people just forgot about it because they would like to take every single project they can, but ended up,
mm,
they would lose money from it. It's just normal.
mm, mm. Yeah. That was a great nugget. You said something very interesting I want to pull back on. You said the smaller your company, the smaller your team, the more selective you need to be with your clients.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, how does that relate to the way you are navigating your time?
Well, I would say a real life example is I used to take on all sorts of clients that I could, and I was the one who made that mistake. And what happened would be, I mean, honestly, I'm the only client servicing person. My whole team would be the delivery people. And it just doesn't help, honestly, because at the end of the day, you're going to go back to your clients and handle a lot of things. And maybe
Hmm.
50% of your time would be spent on client servicing and client management if you took the wrong client on board and maybe handling your team, waking up to all sorts of issues. Um, that's when you actually miss out on the opportunity cost of building something else.
Hmm.
Let's say if I want to put time
Yeah.
into my product companies, but I'm spending too much time taking a wrong deal, servicing the wrong client in my services company, then the more money the more time I put into my services company, meaning the more time I lose out on building my product company.
Yeah, yeah. This reminds me of a saying that my coach would usually say. He'll say, no client is better than a bad client. Yeah, and I think you said it really good. Sometimes we don't see the opportunity cost of making that investment. Yeah, with our
Exactly.
time. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
Now, go ahead, go ahead.
No. That was it.
Yeah. So what would be your next step? What would be your next step? We started the conversation around, how can you fit more time? How can you get more done within the time that you have so that you can be more efficient? And then we now hit the point of, balance and health, as well as being selective with the clients who we are taking on. What would be your next step moving forward?
I would say I'm already on that path, and I have already started doing it and seeing some results. I basically had to automate my own team to make sure that they can operate on their own without me being present, which I think that's obviously the goal for every single business owner, entrepreneur. Um, the the more you're hands off with the team, the more they can operate on their own. The more time you have for something that is more valuable. And I would say that's something that most people miss out as well. Because if you don't train your
Yeah,
team,
yeah,
if you
yeah.
don't educate your team, it's just impossible. So cultivating them is like the first step. And I am halfway through, I would say. Still figuring it out.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And what would you say was your biggest insight from, this small snippet coaching session we just had? What was the biggest insight for you personally?
I would say it's like, when you first get started with starting your own ventures, you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know what I don't know
Mm,
until you asked me. Those are very good questions, obviously. Like it actually got me to reflect on things, and those are the things that I would never reflect on if I'm like, caught up with work and caught up with things in my business. It's
mm,
something that you will never, you will never stop and think.
Awesome, awesome. And now what I want to do, I want to ask some quick fire question. Yeah, now we got
Sure.
the tough part out of the way. Yeah, now it's for the fun part. Yeah, what I'm gonna do,
hmm
I'm gonna ask you some questions, and these are gonna be this or that, and you can choose one or the other. Yeah, there's no in between. Are you ready for these,
hmm
Moon?
Yep, let's
Okay.
go.
So, morning person or night owl?
Morning person.
Ideate or execute?
Ideate.
Lead lead by data or gut feeling?
Lead by data.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert for sure.
Delegate or do it yourself?
Delegate.
Think big or start small?
Think big.
Mac or PC?
Mac.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Office or remote work?
Remote work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Moon. And if this was your final message to the masses, yeah, if this was your
Mhm,
final message on planet Earth, what would be the
mhm.
final message you love to leave to those who are listening?
Stop thinking and just do it. We tend to overthink things for some reason. And people would be like, 10 years down their career, telling everybody that they want to start their own company, never did it. So yeah, just do it. There's nothing to be scared
Let's get it. Let's go. That's Moon Yiu, y'all. Listen closely and make sure you stay connected. And where can everybody get connected to what you're doing, your work, and everything that you believe in?
Sorry, you got cut off. What did you just say?
How can we stay connected with Moon Yiu and your work and everything that you believe in?
Ah, cool. Well, I'm really active on LinkedIn, so it would be great if you can follow me on LinkedIn and also on Twitter as well, which I just started if you don't
Mm.
want spams all the time. just bite-sized
But is it
infos.
Twitter X? Is it Twitter X? I believe.
Yeah. Sorry, I haven't, changed my terminology on that yet.
No, we're still in the past. We're still in the past. X for the future, people.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, you go ahead. Anything else?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I would say I have a lot of lessons and mistakes and failures. So if you like learning from failures and learning from other people's mistakes, then follow me. Because in theory, there's no textbook, and I would be the best textbook because I have made so much mistakes in my life.
Let's get it. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's go. This was such a valuable conversation. I think some of the nuggets that you share was even meant for me as well. And for that, I just want to say thank you. I really admire the work that you're
Thank you
doing,
so
and I
much.
can't wait to see what else you're going to create. Thank you for being on the
Thank you
podcast,
so
Moon.
much. Thanks for inviting me.
You've heard the stories and strategies of today's top tech CEOs. But where do you fit in? What's your unique superpower as a founder? Now take our free CEO type quiz to unlock your leadership blueprint and gain insights to maximize your potential. Now go to levelupwithdeano.com and take just 3 minutes to complete this quiz. Instantly receive a detailed report revealing your CEO type along with a personalized 3-phase plan for achieving abundance and freedom on your term. Are you a visionary, a driver, an analyst, community builder, or self-improver? Take the quiz now and own your entrepreneurial journey. Discover what makes you tick as a founder and learn to lead from your sweet spot for success. That's www.levelupwithdeano.com. Spelling matters. Make sure you get it right. Take the quiz and start leading on your term, your way. This is your key to freedom, and go and get it. levelupwithdeano.com.